The most important thing to remember about stress is this. You don't know stress until it is off. You don't know stress until it is off. That's the number one rule that you need to remember. Going through life, you will acquire all sorts of stresses, and these add up in a way that we're just not prepared for. That's why every aspect of fasting, as I believe it to be, should involve low stress. That's why I say what I say about exercise. That's why I say what I say about being at peace with yourself and your life. You have to be in a state of rest so that your body can rest. Otherwise, your body will hold on to fat. It will hold on to water. Your overall life experience will be less because of stress. So that's the first rule of stress management. You don't really know stress until it is off, because it adds up and you take on more tasks at work. You take on more tasks at home. You decide you are going to skip having the stressful conversations that you need to. And lo and behold, the stress begins to build up. You begin to internalize it. Have you ever had a situation develop at work or at home where you decided not to think about something and you dreamt about it? Maybe you had a nightmare about it. That's your brain's way of trying to tell you that you need to get a grip, that you need to come back to square one and start dealing with the proper things. But the second principle of stress management is to realize that just like a hunger or a sleep debt, there is a stress debt, because as we said, these things all add up. Now look at the diagram here. Less stress, there's less stress and there is greater stress. The earth-shattering stressors are divorce or a breakup when you've been with someone, a death in the family, you get fired from your job. Believe me, those are stressful events. Terminal illness diagnosis, world-shattering stress event. Legal troubles, having to sit on the witness stand. Those are very, very bad situations. And let me tell you, folks, so those of you who've never had to do anything in court, you cannot charm people on the witness stand. It is about the facts. It is about going over and finding holes in arguments. This is very deep stuff. Moving is stressful. But then look at the ones, those are the big ones, the ones that will give you, cause hair loss or, a lot of weight gain or weight loss in some cases. But most of us it can tend to be weight gain. Your body holds on, your body freaks out. But look at the less recognized but still serious stressors. Following someone else's dream. This is a big one, folks. I know so many people, they're living someone else's life because they want to be someone else. That is a sad state of affairs, because the stress is very low-key when you start to realize in time that you are not someone else and that you do not measure up. Then it destroys you. Living to win someone else's favor. You live for someone else's approval. A lot of people are like this. They're supplicative in nature. They try to win people over because they want the favor of someone else, whether it's a boss, whether it's a dad, whether it's a mom, whether it's a significant other. You get the point. Climbing the corporate ladder, that's another form of stress. Look at how many of these, probably, maybe even all of them, apply to you at some point, right? Climbing the corporate ladder is difficult. Being the company man or company woman, that's hard stuff. Having to fight the dilemma in your mind about making decisions that are right versus pleasing some higher up. Being passed up for promotion, that's a horrible thing. And it can just like unemployment, it can destroy your sense of self-esteem and self-worth. Health appointments and physicals. It's stressful just to go in for a physical. To find, you're fearing you might run into a very bad diagnosis. Auditions and interviews. These are horrible stressors. Not just actors, but anyone who is fighting to try to get the best job. That's very stressful. Dating and relationship management in general is stressful. Pitching an idea or giving a speech, selling, of course, is stressful. And being in poor health or being shut in. How many of these do you think appeal to you, that you can relate to? Probably all of them if you're old enough, but if not, definitely a few of them will get the better of you at some point in your life, if not sooner. So how do we recognize stress management? Being in a state of fasting is a great way to relieve the mind. Even though fasting is its own point of stress, it is nonetheless important to realize that you can't ever stop realizing the value of stress. Certain stresses are good and certain stresses are bad. So let me give you really quickly here 3 ways I identify stress in my life and root it out. The third lesson in stress management is stress is most easily recognized by. And again, this is me. Yours may vary, but for most people, this is how it works. A lessening or drastically unusual increase of the appetites. Gustatory, which is your taste, sexual, etc. If you are way put off by stress, then I will notice a lessening of the appetites. Maybe for you it would be an increase. Maybe those of you who are stress eaters, you eat more. It can tend to be different in different ways. But you either have a drastic lessening or an unusual increase in your appetites. For me, it's a lessening. B, a tunnel vision focus that absorbs progressively more time and energy and doesn't seem to end with a sense of accomplishment. That is a huge red flag. When you get this tunnel vision, obsessive compulsive focus on something, and it starts to consume more of your energy and effort but doesn't end with a sense of accomplishment, that is a very bad sign that you're starting to be overwhelmed with stress. And this, again, is before you even know it. It hits you before you know it. And C, an addictive obsession that detracts from family and other matters in a way that causes withdrawal when the pressure is off. Please listen to letter C there. That is hugely important. An addictive obsession, when something becomes an addictive obsession that detracts from family and other important matters in a way that causes withdrawal when the pressure is off. Have you ever experienced a thing like that? Have you ever experienced how when the pressure is off, when there's something you're obsessing about and the pressure's gone, and then all of a sudden you're withdrawn and you're low energy? That's a bad sign. That means you're about to get inundated with stress. So before you realize that you're getting destroyed by all these stress factors, you start to notice the little signs, the signs that you're getting overworked. But we're not done quite yet. We have to get through to the fourth one. This is the fourth and final stress management lesson. Don't seek to be rid of stress, just frequently trade your stresses in for newer ones. What in the world does that mean? Well, as I've said before, you've got to buck up. This is life. You can't go around thinking that you're never going to have stress, because that's just not realistic. So how do you deal with it? You deal with it by realizing that once you've dealt with something for a while, it's time to get rid of it. It's time to have that conversation you don't want to have. It's time to confront what you need to confront. It's time to talk to the person you need to talk to. It's time to relieve that stress. One of my friends called me last week, and he had an appointment canceled. He had to deliver a speech. And he was so relieved when the appointment was canceled, because his stress levels went down. His blood pressure went down. Everything in his life changed because he became a lot happier. Another boss pulled a project, and he didn't have to go present and pitch an idea. He was so happy. He automatically felt better. He felt less hungry. He felt less neurotic and less moody because the stress was off. Every time you realize a stress is in your life, you need to recognize that you need to solve it fast. You need to get rid of it, appreciate it in its moment, and then get past it. That's what fasting helps you do, because it allows you to realize that you're facing stress. But by knowing the misery, by knowing the discomfort of the fasting experience, the emptiness, you start to make peace with the goodness that you do have, the fullness that you do have. This is how you do those things. Anytime you have a situation where something is developing in your life that is affecting you negatively, it's time to root it out and get rid of it quickly. Don't ever let it in. Any police officer will tell you, who's been in the field for any length of time, when you start to deal with an aggressive assailant, someone who's escalating the situation, and you have to lay hands on that person, you do it quickly. You act quickly. You end the controversy, the situation, the conflict, before it becomes something worse. You're helping not only yourself, but you're helping that person. That's something to remember. Everything in life will always be filled with stress, because just like the wind beneath the wings of an airplane holding it up, the stress makes you who you are. The scriptures say that you are as strong as you are in the day of adversity. If your strength fails when you are small, or if your strength fails in the day of adversity, then you are weak. You want to see how strong you are? Go out there and see how strong you are. That's where the test is going to be. But of course, like any form of stress, it needs to be temporary. You need to relieve it. You need to give it a break. You need to let your body and your mind understand that This too shall pass. Take the stress off, let your body heal. Your fasting can be a great tool in that. But regardless of how you approach whatever stresses are on in your life, you need to remember these important principles. And I hope this has helped.